Dark Hour says, to whom it may concern, by the time you read this, I will be viewing American Society of Magical Melanin Abundant Individuals just to see how bad it is. Well, I hope it's better than you expect, I guess, that you don't waste your money on a bad movie. But
every year there seems to be a film that captivates audiences through sheer power of will. Despite terrible marketing or poor release timing, it fights back. And through positive word of mouth, gains a reputation as the film that you haven't heard about but need to see. This isn't that film.
Walk through a room full of white people. It was the most painful thing I've ever seen.
God damn, that was racist.
You fucking hypocrite.
To tell you the truth, the first time I saw the trailer for this movie, I wasn't even sure if I was going to try and review it, as just saying the title seems like it might get my channel torn down.
Hell no!
Even now, I'm not sure how comfortable I am risking sanctions from the YouTube killbots, but god damn it, I'm going to try. So as I attempt to work around this obstacle, let's take a look. The plot revolves around a struggling artist, Aaron, who is recruited into a secret underground organization known as the American Society of Magical
Melanin Abundant Individuals.
A group I can best describe as a strange combination of Hogwarts and the Men in Black, who are tasked with monitoring the discomfort levels of white people, using sorcery and pre-approved therapy techniques such as always making everything about their Caucasian clients' needs and putting themselves second. Why do they do this, you ask? Well, according to the organization, white people are the most dangerous animals on the planet.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
And by easing their lives, acts of aggression such as police shootings can be avoided.
That doesn't make sense.
Using an item called the White Tears Meter? Are you fucking for real? You can't make this shit up. They work to maintain quote-unquote acceptable white person comfort levels, especially while they're around black people. After completing his training, Aaron is accepted into the American Society of Magical
Ethnically African Citizens
and is given his first assignment, help a designer named Jason over at Meatbox, an obvious Twitter proxy which is currently going through a diversity crisis over facial recognition software which was deemed racist.
Go f*** yourself.
Along the way, he meets Lizzie, Jason's love interest who he begins to develop feelings for but is forbidden from pursuing as it would be pleasuring himself, putting himself ahead of the client. A rule which, if broken, carries with it the poorly explained consequence of undoing all the collective magic of all the members of the American Society of Magical
People of Sub-Saharan Origin.
Bound by this restriction, can Aaron help Jason and save black people? Also, can anyone explain to me how someone thought this script was a good idea? Anyone? Anyone?
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You know, I thought I'd seen every type of bad movie up to this point, but this one might just take the cake in terms of absurdity. It has the balls to list itself as satire, but is devoid of humor and lacks any of the charm required for good parody. What's left is on-the-nose social commentary which leans on referencing better works such as The Green Mile, and peppering in allusions to Aunt Jemima and George Floyd. When I looked into who was behind this film, I quickly came to the realization that this travesty of justice masquerading as a passion project is the brainchild of Kobe Libby, a completely unfunny hack, who is using this as both his screenwriting and directorial debut. One can only hope he never attempts either of these things again. With cringe dialogue that displays all the subtlety of a jackhammer, the script tries to tackle complex socioeconomic issues from an extremely limited worldview, and only succeeds in sounding like it was written by a C- liberal arts student trying to be witty but still thinks that motivational posters are deep. Its ineffectual attempts at comedy to boil complicated societal issues down to the most basic brain-dead observations only succeeds in fanning the flames of division by pandering to the lowest common denominator of progressive ideology. If Barbie was the imbecilic feminist rally cry to blame men for all of women's problems, this is the racial equivalent. However, unlike Barbie, it lacks a culturally iconic IP to back it, which all but assures that the American Society of Magical
Human beings who likely think Eminem is overrated
will flop. Featuring a near beat-for-beat of America Ferrera's embarrassingly masturbatory echo chamber speech, somehow it's even more awkward as it's delivered by a far less charismatic Justice Smith, who seems like he's in the process of overdosing on lithium. Speaking of which, he's had a very interesting career path to say the least. Every time he has a film that helps push him forward, he immediately follows it up with one that does the opposite, turning him into the personification of the idiom one step forward, two steps back. And considering his last outing was the surprisingly solid Dungeons & Dragons, it seems the trend continues here. As for David Alan Grier, I'm honestly not sure what happened to this dude. He was a fairly in-demand actor for about 20 years or so, but now appears to be in the just accepting whatever work comes his way phase like a poor man's Sam Jackson, unaided by the fact that he seems to have forgotten how to be funny. I'm not going to even bother talking about pacing because I actually fell asleep for part of the movie and felt I missed absolutely nothing of note, so it's impossible for me to evaluate. Mainstream media will never use the proper term for what this film is. But luckily I'm not beholden to advertising dollars. I'm just kidding, YouTube, please don't demonetize me. So I'll call it like I see it. This is a shallow, racist caricature of a film, which is full of hatred for not only white people, but black people as well. Unfortunately, the writer wasn't intelligent enough to realize that. The easiest terms I could put this in is this. You don't need to see it. Not even on streaming, which is likely where this should have been released in the first place, if not at all. And if that's not enough to convince you to avoid this sorry excuse for social commentary which has exhausted my ability to self-censor, I'm not sure anything I could possibly say would do the trick.